Oh, MGs, boys, girls, in-betweeners, let's talk about Street Fighter Champion Edition. Street Fighter Championship Edition. I'm going to call it Championship because that's the way my head works. That's what Street Fighter 2 was. Don't know why they wanted to make it confusing. That was the big reveal. That was even bigger than Gil, in my opinion, for the NA Regionals that we saw today. And this is really the first time I had a chance to sit down and go through the trailer properly. So I'm going to talk about the game in general a little bit just at first, and then we're going to talk about Juri specifically, because that's what you're really here for, right? You're not here for my Street Fighter opinions, you're here for my Juri opinions. So let's go ahead, let's watch the trailer. I've already seen it, but I want to see if there's anything I can glean from it that I haven't noticed already, because I got thoughts, I got opinions, and if you're here, you want to hear them. So let's go ahead and check it out.
Make your move.
Alrighty.
So it's you.
The big reveal. Street Fighter Champion Edition. I'm disappointed they didn't change the logo more. I would like a different sort of style colored logo. 40 goddamn characters. Also Menat. Because nobody likes Menat. Alright, I'm pretty sure I've got these transitions myself in Premiere, but anyway, 34 stages. 200 costumes! I've made this trick before, but I'm going to do it again. Most of them belong to Chun-Li. It's funnier the second time around. V-Trigger 1, V-Trigger 2, V-Skill 1, and V-Skill 2. That's what we want to see. Chun-Li gets his Zanshu, which is Juri's Satsu. We get a fucking dog for Zeku. And we got the business. The fucking business. I have thoughts. I have opinions. I will get to those. Don't worry. Pre-order upgrade kit and get all the horse shit. Look at all that bullshit. Yeah.
Time to return to harmony. Seraphic wing.
Woo! Alright. Okay, so that's the trailer. So let's talk a little bit about Championship Edition first, before we go any further. Because I talked about this a little bit in the Gil reveal, but I'm excited more than anything. First of all, about the fact that, I mean, Champion Edition means a lot. Because I've had very low expectations for Street Fighter this last year, given that Capcom took a different route, we didn't get a Season 4.5, things like that. They took a different route with the releases, I should say. Which I don't think was a great idea. I mean, you know, it's cool getting multiple characters in like a burst, but to wait 6 months for them is not as cool. I'd rather just get a staggered release of characters rather than getting 3 or 2 at once. So there's that. That said, does Championship Edition mean 2 things? First of all, are we getting a Season 5 in terms of balance patches? Because the game still badly needs one. The game still really needs a fucking balance patch. And I've talked about this in other videos. I'll briefly go over it here. But I've said since Season 3 that this game is 80% balanced, which is a good place to be fair. 80% of the cast are exactly where they need to be, in my opinion. Obviously, you know, people who play those characters, the character loyalists will argue one way or the other, you know, that some of these characters need to be buffed or nerfed or whatever, and sure, some of them could probably do with minor changes, but for the most part, they're where they need to be in terms of how they perform, in terms of how they act, things like that. The problem is that 20% of the cast is not. And that wouldn't be, you know, Red Gambit, it's only 1 in 5. What are you talking about? That's pretty good. Yeah, but 10% is garbage tier, and 10% is broken tier. And that's the problem that I have, is that like when you run into those broken tier characters, even though I'm not the best Street Fighter player in the world, it's still frustrating when you run into characters who have just plus frames for fucking days. Or on the other side, you know, if you're playing like a broken tier character or a garbage tier character, you know, why do you have to put up with Capcom treating a character like shit even though they don't deserve it? So I would love, along with everyone else, I'm sure, to see a Season 5 in terms of balance patch. Maybe a Season 5.5 in terms of just tidying that up. And if Capcom can get it right, if they can nail it, and like not even like get it perfect, because there's never a way to get a fighting game perfect, it just doesn't exist. But if they can get it close to perfect, I'd be totally happy with that. If there's still one or two characters like, this guy could use some nerfs, this person could use some buffs, fine, whatever. But, for the most part, I feel like there's still a ways to go. The question is that whether A, Capcom are willing to do it, and B, whether Capcom are willing to step outside of their echo chamber, because they clearly don't listen to the community when they do their balance patches. They listen to their own internal audits and whatnot. So, I have no proof for that, but just the way that they balance the game, I feel is proof enough. So, I don't want to dwell on that much longer. The other thing was that netcode. Arcade Edition had a netcode upgrade. It turned out to be a downgrade. Turned out to be worse than what we had. But if we could get a netcode upgrade, maybe the netcode from MVCI, that would be fucking amazing. That would be great, and we'd all have much less reason to complain about the game. So those are two things that really excite me about Champion Edition. Now, let's talk about Juri, because even though you didn't see every character's new V-skill in there, you did get to see Juri's. And I actually said in a video only a few days ago that if they give Juri a second V-skill, I mean, she still needs a second V-trigger, she only has one. If they give her a second V-skill, right, just if they give her one which is not situational regarding fireballs, if it's something that she can use in every matchup, or even just the ones where she doesn't want to use the anti-fireball stuff, that alone, even if they didn't buff Juri any more outside of that, and she's low mid tier, so she doesn't need to be buffed that much. She's in like the 1/3 to 1/2 kind of strata of tiers, in my opinion. If they just gave her that alone would probably be like almost enough to get her where she needs to go. She still needs some tweaks. She still needs some adjustments to hitboxes and things like that, but for the most part, that would be a huge boost just by itself. Because right now, if you play against Abigail, you play against Karen, you play against anyone who doesn't have a projectile, and congratulations, you don't have a V-skill. You don't have one, because Juri's V-skill is massively unsafe and not worth using. So it's only there for punishing fireballs. If they don't have fireballs, then you're wasting your fucking time using V-skill. So we got a second V-skill, and it looks like something which may be useful. Now, I'm not going to go back through the trailer and show this to you because I actually have something better. There's a person, the me gnome, who is a prolific Juri tweeter, actually does the service of clipping that one part and just looping it. So we can really get into the nuts and bolts. Whoa, calm down there. Really get into the nuts and bolts of how this thing actually looks and works. And you're HD or are you just going to sit in SD? We're good in SD, alright. So, you look at this, and initially I was really excited about this. I was like, holy shit, they're giving Juri a mix-up tool. And I was really excited about it. But having had some time between when I first saw this and when I actually recorded this video to think about it, my excitement has dulled a little bit. Now, it hasn't dulled completely. This isn't like, don't get it twisted. This is not like when they announced V-Trigger 2 for Juri, and my immediate reaction was, this is fucking awful, and I was completely justified in that because I was right. This does look useful. The question is, how useful is it going to be? Because you go, oh my god, they gave Juri a mix-up tool. It's the one thing that Juri can't do is mix-ups. And it's one thing she really fucking needs because she's supposed to be this really, evil, dirty, don't play by the rules kind of character. And when you play her, she's a tremendously honest character who has to fight for every win she gets. The thing about this is whenever Capcom do these little show reels, is that they're always very situational. And yeah, that's what they tried to do when they showed off Juri's V-Trigger 2. They tried to show like, oh, look at all the cool shit you can do with V-Trigger 2, and then you just looked at it for 5 fucking seconds and realized it was garbage. The thing about this is that, yes, she does get a mix-up. She goes for a sweep, she does her V-skill, she does a medium or heavy Rodensatsu there. It's probably a medium one by the distance of it. And gets a mix-up off of it. And that's great. But the caveat to that is that it is a crush counter sweep that she gets. You can see in this very clearly, it is a crush counter sweep on Rashid that gives her the time to throw out this, let's call it a whirlwind. Throw out this whirlwind, do the Rodensatsu, and get the side switch. Now, the thing about that is that if you want to do that right now, you can actually already do that. That already exists in the game as it is right now. All you have to do is substitute the Whirlwind V skill for her light fireball. If you get a crush counter sweep, you can wake up faster than them. You have to manually time it, which is a little bit of a pain. I don't think there's a way to automatically time it to buffer out buttons. But you have to manually time throwing out a light fireball and doing a Roid Satsu, and if you time it right, you will get a side switch and a mix-up on them. So that, when you think about it that way, that's immediately a downer, and that's the part that really bothered me. It was like, well, this already actually exists in the game. You just have to have it installed for it. That's it. And that's kind of where I'm like, where the excitement fades away. So whether this is going to be good or not is going to rely on a few things. And I'm not saying it's bad. Even though this exists in the game as it currently does, there are still ways that this can be good. We just have to look at it objectively. So we don't get to see how long it stays on the screen for. That's the first thing, because Rashid eats it and it disappears. So, I mean, that could be the very end of the active frames, we don't know. But is it going to stay out for a while? Could it be potentially something the Juri could use for spacing? Could she throw it out and make it harder for people to approach her? So she can sit behind it and get her fireballs up? That'd be great. If she could throw this out, get some stores up, that would be really good, because right now, in the game as it exists, getting stores is a risk. It's a real pain in the butt to get stores, and you only become a real boy, or a real girl in this case, once you have stores. So that's the first thing. If you could stay out for a few seconds, like Fang's Poison Trap, that would make its utility much more widespread, accessible. I don't know. It'd give it a lot more utility, basically. So that's one thing. The second thing is that what are the active frames on it? What's the frames on it? Because we can't tell from this, especially since Rashid eats it, what the frames are like. It seems to have a decent amount of startup. Probably anywhere from between, I would say, hazarding a guess, probably 15 to 30 frames of startup, just as an educated guess. So that's fine. But what the active frames are, what the recovery frames are, and most importantly, what is it on block? Because right now, Juri's V-Skill 1 is pretty fucking garbage on block, right? It's, God, I forget the exact numbers. I think it's minus 12 for the thing I know is minus 15 for the uncharged version, and minus 18 for the charged version, which is why you never want to use it unless you're punishing fireballs. So, you know, this is great and all. If they gave Juri a mix-up, that you can use, fucking great. But if it's a mix-up you can only use on a hard knockdown, there's only two ways to get hard knockdowns in this game. You either do a crush counter sweep or a super. That's the only way you get them. So if those are the only times you can throw this out safely, because it's like still minus, like you throw this out on block regularly and it's like, oh, surprise, it's minus 12. Well, congratulations, we still have a shit V-skill and nothing to really use it for. Because the number of times you get a crush counter sweep are pretty fucking limited in this game, unless you really like taking a risk on doing sweeps, because we all know that they're unsafe. So that's kind of the problem there. So for this V-skill to be functional, to be something that Juri can use as a setup tool, outside of a sweep into hard knockdown, it would have to be minus 2 on block. Anything other than that, I think is just going to completely destroy the utility that it has. Yeah, because if they quick rise into that and you're still in recovery when they quick rise into it, then you're just going to eat the worst kind of punishment available, and it's just going to just ruin your fucking life, basically. So those are some things to think about there that bother me about this thing. One thing that could be interesting, though, is that when you play a Juri, even if you're playing against a fireball character, right? Even if you're playing against a Ryu or a Urien or a Ken or a Kuma or anyone else like that, even if they're not aware of Juri's V-skill, you hit them with that bad boy 2 or 3 times, and they learn pretty fast not to throw fireballs. They realize they have to fight this match without fireballs. That's just the way it is. All right. So, as a result of that, V-skills are there to build V-gauge, right? And Juri just doesn't build V-gauge from her V-skill. She really doesn't. As a result of that, you are basically limited to, you're picking, both of V triggers are 2 bars, so you're going to get the maximum of 2 V triggers when you hit half health and hit almost dead. That's going to be how it works. So, what I'm interested about this V skill is that if it hits, what's the V trigger gauge gain like on it? Because if this is something you can use with relative frequency in a match, you could potentially be looking at a three V-trigger match, which would be, again, a huge boost to Juri. Being able to use, or even 2, because it's still really hard to get 2 V-triggers in a match. It's a very situational thing. If you pop V-trigger even when you're at half health, as soon as you get it, generally speaking, by the time, if you're considering the possibility of getting a second V-trigger at all, it's not going to happen because either they're dead or you're dead. Basically, you die while the V-trigger is active, so you're not building a meter for it, or you kill them while the V-trigger is active, so you don't get the meter for it. So that's the thing. So if this becomes something where you can just throw this out and use it as a stay away from me tool, and if they run into it, you get a decent, I'm not talking like great, it doesn't have to be broken or anything. But if you can just get a reasonable amount of V-gauge from this thing and be able to use it with a reasonable frequency within a match, we could be on a winner here. We could be seeing something which could make Juri, again, a lot more viable without necessarily making huge changes to a character. So those are the thoughts and ideas that I had while watching this. Now, I suppose the last thing to mention about this as well is that when they get hit by it, when you see Rashid get hit by this, it is Rashid going into a juggle state. So you can see here he actually gets popped up in the air, she throws out a low fireball, and then goes into the EXTP to wrap things up. So that's fine. That's basically, you can tell that that's there to basically mitigate the options that you have to follow up from that. And I'm okay with that because we're talking about a V-skill, not a V-trigger, and a V-skill should not be flat busted. It shouldn't be your gateway to mad combos. So, and even then, Juri can still catch a lot of stuff when it's in juggle state. Obviously, as you can see here, the light fireball and the EXTP catch things that are in juggle state. Depends on the juggle state, obviously, but heavy fireball will catch things, heavy kick will catch things in juggle state, EX fireball will catch things in juggle state. So there's quite a few options that Juri has for catching people when they're in the air. So, that in itself is interesting, and again, maybe that in itself, maybe you just want to throw the light fireball and go for more shenanigans. Maybe you want to go for another mix-up off of that. Maybe that's an option we don't know yet until we get our hands on the character. So there's definitely some possibilities here. This is not V-Trigger 2 where it was like, oh my god, oh no. It wasn't that. Thank God. But we can't get too excited about this just yet. We gotta temper our expectations a little bit. So that's what I find, that's my thoughts and my feelings on this V-skill. If you wanted my overall thoughts about it, I am cautiously optimistic. It looks like it might have some potential, but this to be viable, it has to be -2, and it has to be something which gives you which has just decent utility, basically. It can't be just something which you are only able to throw out off of a hard knockdown. Those are two things. If we can get those two things from this V-skill, this could be, I'm not even kidding, this could be a really big buff for Juri just by itself. So I'm very excited about this, but once again, cautiously optimistic. So that's my thoughts, that's my feelings, that's everything I gotta say about Street Fighter V Championship Edition. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Let me know if you spotted anything that I've missed. If you got any thoughts and feelings that I may not have covered, or if you're just, like, no, Red Gambit, you're wrong, this is trash. They've done it dirty again. So it'll be interesting, but I'm looking forward to this. And I'd love to see some more information. When we do get more information about this, I will definitely bring it to you as soon as I can, along with any further breakdown information that I have. So that's it for me now, guys. Kisses, hugs, belly rubs. I will see all of you very soon.